What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Gear Breaker Nation, where we give excellent assessment and reviews. And in this video, we're going to be reviewing Supergirl, Season 1, Episode 4, Livewire. Now, the episode ends up starting off where this alien is being escorted in the DEO headquarters, and it ends up escaping, and it's just knocking all these DEO agents everywhere, and ends up getting to this pretty cool fight with Supergirl. Now, I didn't mind the fight. I thought the new premise was a great idea to open up the episode with. But the fight wasn't really that memorable, and it was over pretty quick. So anyways, the episode, we see Kara ends up going home to Alex, and their mother Eliza is coming over, and you have Alex sitting here freaking out because she knows that Eliza doesn't want Kara exposed to the world because of the dangers of it. And because of a slight little twist that pops up later on in the end of the episode. So she ends up coming there. Everybody seems, everything is okay. There is this radio talk show host named Leslie who's on the radio talking trash about Supergirl. And one thing I like about this scene is it shows the different views and the reactions from different characters, like the way Wynn reacted to it, the way James reacted to it, and especially Kat. I really thought, I was pretty intrigued about her reaction to it. So you got Kara ends up going back to the job and is telling Wynn about Alex's frustrations with her mom and how she's freaking out and everything. But then you end up seeing Leslie in Kat's office. So these two are talking, and Kat's mad at Leslie for trashing Supergirl, especially because Kat is doing everything she can to kind of promote Supergirl and to put her out there in the world in a positive light, which will also put Catco out there in a positive light. But then Leslie is sitting here, you know, being defiant, so Kat decides to just transfer the traffic duty. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it's really interesting because I like the fact that Kat, once again, it shows depth to Kat's character. It shows that she isn't just this woman that's just like cold-hearted and heartless and everything. She actually is kind of smart, and I actually feel like Kat's actually garnered some respect for Supergirl at this point. So later on, you got Kara sitting here talking to James, and she, I think, was about to ask James to come join her for Thanksgiving. No, in fact, she did ask James to come over for a Friendsgiving. James ends up responding, telling her that him and Lois Lane's sister are going out of town. At this point, it's like bittersweet music because Wynn is a nice guy and Kara is constantly overlooking him for James, and now James got somebody. So there's this big love twisting thing between everybody. While James ends up leaving a bar, you have Alex show up, and her and Kara have this quick exchange, and then as they're leaving, they end up seeing that this helicopter got struck by lightning, so it's about to crash. So Supergirl swoops in, saves the guy who falls out. Thought that was pretty cool. And then she goes back up there to save Leslie, and then when she manages to finally save Leslie, lightning struck Supergirl, which in turn struck Leslie. So I'm like, okay, that's the Livewire stick right there, and I think that's a pretty cool way for her to get her powers. I did like that. That was a pretty good way. It was kind of convenient, but it was believable. It wasn't like she was in the laboratory and she got electrocuted with some new type of chemicals and anything. It wasn't like she was stuck her finger in the outlet trying to kill herself, and it wasn't like she's, you know, stuck a fork or bit into some wires or something and got it. That's like a pretty cool way for her to get her powers. I thought that was pretty cool. So you end up having Kat and Kara sitting here looking over Leslie, who is alive and survived it, but she was in the coma. And Kat, again, this scene shows some depth to Kat's character, and despite what went on between her and Leslie earlier in the episode, you can kind of see that Kat has the softer side and actually does feel some type of way for Leslie, which Leslie does end up waking up after that. And I thought that was pretty cool. The design, like her hair was all white, I thought that was pretty cool because that's probably what would happen if you got struck by lightning, I guess. The next scene, you got Alex and Eliza talking, and then this is the point where Alex knows what's going to happen. So there's this big blow up between the two characters. And it feels like, you know, despite everything Alex is doing, Eliza is like looking down on her, and it's saying she's not doing enough to protect her sister and all of that. So it was like, and so she ends up storming out. So I felt sorry for Alex at that point. Alex is a pretty good character, so that's kind of a BS on her. Eliza, like, I don't like you no more, Eliza. You suck. Your daughters are sitting here saving the world and everything. She's being such a douche about it. Of course, Leslie ends up escaping out of the hospital. I don't know where the hell security was or whatever, but she ends up escaping out of there, and she ends up finding out that she got like electrical powers because this one guy comes up and is like harassing her, and she like shoved him and electrocuted the hell out this dude. I'm like, that's what you get, douchebag. And next thing you know, she ends up like zapping into this camera or into this electrical outlet. She like went into the electrical outlet or something like that. And that's one thing I did not like about that. I wish that this would have been like Supergirl's stick where she's still learning her powers. I think this would have been a good episode to introduce Livewire, but not actually have her master her abilities. And I felt like at that point she like mastered her abilities. Like, you just got out of a coma. It's like, how did you do that? That should be something that should have been developed later on, or maybe throughout the episode. Next, you got Thanksgiving dinner. You got Alex and Kara and Wynn and Eliza and everybody's. And you can tell there's a lot of tension between Alex and Eliza because of these such snarky little comments. And then one thing I didn't like about James ended up calling. Again, you can see how hurt Wynn is, and it feels like a dick move because James James at this point is just being a dick figure. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, you with somebody, but it's like he ended up calling. It's at this point it felt like that. Me personally, I felt like that was forced. Because it was like, he's like, well, he called Kara, but it's like, why? You know what I'm saying? I understand that y'all like miss each other. Y'all got this little crush on each other thing, but it's like, why did you like do this out of the blue? You know what I'm saying? Alex finally comes out and tells Eliza that she works for the DO, and it's like, wow, you know, she just came out. At first I thought she was drunk, but she actually does, and of course Eliza just goes ham on her, so there is that. And I was like, oh, this just chases Alex on. At first I thought, I was like, okay, she's reacting to her mom like she's a big kid, but I understand because mom put so much pressure on her to sit here and watch over her sister, and it's like, man, it's not fair. And I kind of like the fact that Kara kind of addressed that issue with Eliza. It's like, I'm grown. Your sister can't sit here and watch out for me. I'm gonna do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? We're back at Catco, and then you got Kat and Kara at the building, and Kara's trying to see what's up with Kat while she's working, and I think she even invited her to a Thanksgiving dinner or what was left of it. And next thing you know, Livewire shows up on the screens, which I thought that was a pretty good introduction. That was pretty cool. And next you know, she like materializes right there and starts attacking Kat and Kara. And I kind of liked how she was using her powers. She was like zapping stuff and doing a lightning flash step from Bleach over here, and was looking for Kat, and then next you know, Supergirl swoops in and saves Kat at the last moment, and there's this quick little tussle between the two characters, which I thought was pretty cool. Electrocuting her, and then she like threw against the wall, and she like turned on electricity and zapped over here. I'm like, okay, that's pretty badass. I like that. And then Kat tries to escape, and you know, in the elevator, and then next you know, Supergirl has to go save her. So I thought that was pretty cool, but she escapes. And like I said, I wish this was been an introduction to her character rather than her character becoming a villain. And I understand the issues that's been going on for a long time between Kat and Leslie that's led her down to this path, but it feels like this could have been, this Livewire could have been a character that was like actually like a recurring villain, which, and as the series goes along, her powers could develop, making her stronger and a stronger threat to Supergirl. So okay, there is that. Now I didn't like, okay, the DEO was sitting here investigating what happened, and then Hank ends up deducing how in the hell she got her powers, talking about how the lightning struck carousels with some DNA and recombination, some kind of crap he said. It was very technical. I was like, that's too freaking accurate. How in the world do you know that? So he ends up using coming up with this plan to capture her. Like that's because her makeup, genetic makeup, he believes is similar to these aliens from like this alternate dimension that are like made of electricity. And I thought, well, again, I was like, that's kind of convenient, man. It's way too convenient. Kat and Kara end up talking, and you can tell that they have a really good moment. Once again, it fleshes out. We know what Kara's going through. We know her story, but we don't know Kat's story. And Kat, you know, ends up telling them, and I think that's pretty cool. I like the fact that it once again gives the character of Kat more exposition, more depth. As I said before, she is definitely one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character. Alex and Eliza ends up having this conversation, and they talk about, you know, what was going on, why Alex feels this way, how she feels so burdened. And I think that was a good moment between Alex and Eliza. So I'm glad that they did make amends. I thought that was pretty good. I like that emotional, that because the first conversation they had didn't feel drawn out enough to be fully emotional, but this one I think makes up for that. So it was pretty good. I like that. I enjoyed it. I like the fact that, you know, Kat offers her help to Supergirl to draw Livewire because Kat is obviously the target. And one thing that kind of threw me off a bit was I was like, why is Kat the target? Because she feels like, from the way it played out, it would have felt like, to me, it would have felt like Livewire would have blamed Supergirl because Kat likes Supergirl so much. So she would have been like, okay, because of Supergirl, she lost her job. But her main focus was Kat. And I was like, I'm not quite buying this. It's like, why are you trying to kill Kat? Like, honestly, I understand, but Kat has been somebody that's been important to you in your life. So it's like, why are you going after Kat? So I was like, okay, or whatever. So Hank and Alex end up helping Supergirl make this device to help capture Livewire. Kat goes out there, confronts her, brings out into the open, and like I said, I would have liked more exposition as to why. That's one thing I didn't like about this. Why is Livewire actually going after Kat? I know she demoted her, but that's you know, that didn't feel like a very credible reason. It didn't feel solid enough. It didn't feel, you know, realistic. But so, you know, her and Supergirl end up having this pretty cool fight. It was really good. It was one of the more memorable fights, especially when Livewire started using her electricity like whips. I thought that was freaking awesome. I was like, wow, that's what I'm talking about. Whip that Supergirl. Yeah, whip that Supergirl. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, that's pretty beast. I like that. That's interesting. Of course, Livewire ended up getting the upper hand, but I like the fact that Kat stepped up once again. And next, you know, this gave Supergirl the chance to, because she heard this water pipe in the ground, so she ended up punching a hole in the ground and shot Livewire with the water pipe. And that alien Ghostbuster thing that Hank and Alex had developed or whatever for Supergirl just pretty much didn't have no reason to be in the episode because she didn't use it not once, and then when she did try to use it, old girl kicked it to the side or shot it to the side or whatever. So I was like, psh, there is that. Kara and Wynn did step up. I like this part. He did step up. He told her that, you know, he was grateful for his family, for having the opportunity to be out there for Thanksgiving with her and her family, despite all the animosity that was going on between everybody. And he even kissed her on the cheek. And this is the moment I was like, okay, he showed her how he really feels about her, because the dude normally doesn't do that. But guess who steps up and messes this whole scene up? James just, and soon as she seen him, Wynn just got knocked to the side. And if he becomes bad, I completely understand. I completely understand, especially if he wants to go to James, because James is like, wow, you are just coming up at the most inconvenient moments. I'm starting to think he's doing this on purpose, honestly. I really do. Anyways, so, you know, Kara and Kat have another moment, but you know what I'm saying, it shows that this little scene shows more development in her character. And at this point, I feel like this show's about Kat because she's really the person that's developing out of everybody in the character and the whole cast. She's about the only person that's making all of these character developments. But at the end of the episode, I will admit, it was a bit of a twist because you see bits and pieces of this throughout the episode, which is kind of like a flashback. But Eliza and Kara and Alex's father had met the DO long time ago. They wanted Kara because she was Kryptonian, and because they couldn't get Superman to cooperate with them. So her dad ends up, you know, sacrificing himself to for Kara to have a good life. So he worked for the DO so that they could study Kryptonians and everything. So that's the recap of season 1, episode 4, Livewire. And it was a good episode. I really liked it. I thought it had some pretty cool moments, not only in action, but also with story and the characters. The whole Livewire aspect, it felt rushed. I am sorry. This should be the episode where she got her powers, possibly lashed out at Kat, but then she becomes a recurring villain throughout the series, because that'll give her more time to become a villain. You know what I mean? Because she became a villain all of a sudden, like one episode. I didn't like that. She could have been a recurring antagonist that shows up at least 2 or 3 more times have a generally grow a grudge against Cat, but then transfers over to Supergirl. You know, that I believe that was one really missed opportunity. And James is I'm starting to not like James anymore, because when he come on as a cool character, doing all these dick moves on Wayne, and Wayne is a likable character, and you kind of root for him to be with Kara, but Kara like don't give 2 craps about him. The nice guy always loses. Yeah. Win should be in the dictionary for that. So anyway, that's my recap, guys. Comment section below, let me know what you thought about it. And I'll catch you guys in the next edition of Gearbreaker Nation. Remember, keep those gears turning.